Hello, and welcome back again to another episode of Skeptical Eye for the Paranormal Guys. In this interview, we're going to be breaking it down with G.I. Joe Lonesome, a filmmaker and the leader of the CE5 group out here in Albuquerque. What is CE5? Well, I'm happy to inform you that we'll be delving into that exact topic here on the podcast. Our conversation gets into what sparked his interest in aliens and the paranormal, and then he leads us through a typical CE5 outing. And we also touch on the greater implications of that on humanity. It was a great discussion, and for a dude with such out-of-this-world interests, he's a really down-to-earth kind of guy. I don't know if you want to just start it off by talking to us about who you are and how you got involved in CE5.
Yeah, guys. Well, namaste, everybody, and Hare Om, of course. I always got to start off with the good vibrations and the high frequency in any given moment. Living for that cherishment. But yeah, man, my name is G.I. Joe Lonesome, and I actually started out, it's a pretty easy story here. I was actually a skateboarder for my whole life. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. That's all I wanted to do. That's it. I didn't even have any plans to go to college. Nothing like that. I just knew that it was going to work out somehow. I was just going to skate because it was fun, And long story short, I actually had an eye injury in 2012.
Okay.
And basically I had to quit skating, not all the way, but not at the level that I wanted to skate at.
Yeah.
I was kind of getting hurt a lot. There were some depth perception issues going on there and everything. And I couldn't perform at the level that I wanted to kind of get to. So after that, I kind of got into, I was kind of at a crossroads. It's kind of at a, what's your life doing? Mm-hmm. Where's your life going? You're at that crossroads, and instead of saying, well, what's gonna, make me the most money, and what should I go to school for, or something like that, I was like, what's gonna be fun? Like, what's fun to me? Like, what was fun to me? Like, what's gonna continue just to be fun, like skateboarding was? And one thing was those little skate videos that we were doing. We were doing dumb little videos, kind of like those like skate video, but like Jackass style, stuff like that and everything. And I was like, man, those were fun. They were fun to put together. And so I kind of was like, maybe I wanted to get into, editing. So I downloaded an editor, started doing some editing. And actually one of my friends who I used to skate with a lot actually passed away of drug overdose, actually. And, it was super heartbreaking, but what happened was I actually edited a video for him. Mm-hmm. It was like a tribute video for him. Yeah. And the video was a project that was, although heartbreaking, but it was actually it was fun to make the project because I just knew him so well. I knew the songs that he liked and stuff like that. And basically, I just his after I did it, his entire family was like, hey, you know what, Joe, like this is awesome. Like no one would have done this. Like you're the only one who would have done this and knows him that well to do. And I was like, wow, maybe I could have some fun and really help people out and touch people, touch people's hearts with my work this way. Maybe it could be impactful. And so I was like, cool, maybe I want to do that. So I kind of went into that rabbit hole of getting into film and everything. I wanted to have a sitcom. Yeah. I really liked Seinfeld. Seinfeld was like, just a family show that we just loved, and I was like, man, I want to do a sitcom. At the time I was working over at Costco. Uh-huh. And I just got a tripod and a camcorder, not even just a camcorder, right? Mm-hmm. Had a friend over, couldn't script right, couldn't do anything. I was just like, hey man, I got this idea, just film me. And he started to film me. There was a scene, never forget it. Basically, just went into I had a hamper of clothes. Went into this closet. I went into the closet, pulled out the hamper of clothes, and just walked out. Called cut. Yep. And I was like, let me see the playback. He was like, all right, cool. I was like, I went into the closet and I was like, dude, you can't even see me. I was like, am I too black or something? Yeah. And he was like, no, maybe you need some light. Yeah. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like the windows are open. Everything's like, I can see it. He's like, well, maybe you need more light, So I kind of got into that rabbit hole of theatrical filmmaking and stuff like this. So I kind of got to a certain height, started a show that went pretty good. Had another idea. One of my most notable ideas right now is called Offset Web Series. Yep. Was doing that idea, was kind of getting into that, and then literally, so you're like, what does this have to do with paranormal?
Oh no, I very well know how hard it.
It's just goes. It's the thing about paranormal is that it's going to choose you when you're ready. That's the thing about it. Yeah. It's going to choose you whenever you're ready, because if you're not ready by different experiences and different levels of awareness and consciousness, you've probably already been exposed to a lot of paranormal types of things or other phenomenal types of things, but they just bounced off of you because you didn't understand what was going on anyways. Yeah. So I mean, you've always been being exposed. It's just that level of consciousness that finally clicks and finally understands what's really going on. And so it comes from experiences. One day at my apartment here in New Mexico, I literally, man, I was just doing dishes, man. I was doing dishes or something mundane. I was just like cleaning the apartment or something. Yeah. And literally had a download. Had a download one day, and it was just like, it was like the download. It was kind of complicated to kind of get into exactly what it was, but the gist of it was extraterrestrials can be enlightened beings, and that actually they are enlightened beings. Yeah. And I was like, what? That's like, this is kind of a strange idea. I had kind of been into a little bit of meditation at that point, just kind of started, and I was really into the law of attraction. Okay, yeah. Because I was into business. I was getting into business and stuff like this. So personal development content with business is all about law of attraction, and you know, obviously
the vibe, the universal, like kind of conscious give and take kind of.
Right. Yes, definitely. Like, as far as like putting out into the universe what you desire to have in your business, in your network, whatever it is, and leveraging the powers of nature to actually impact and develop your actual business. And so I was kind of into just that whole mindset, kind of like a Jedi mind trick almost, and basically, I just kind of had that download that extraterrestrials could be enlightened beings. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of a different, thought, kind of just a thought that was super left field. Yeah. And basically I was like, you know what? I don't know what this thought is about, but I've been writing a lot. I had written my first feature film. Yeah. About 108 pages, whatnot. And so I was really into writing at that point, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it'll make a cool film. Yeah. This thought, I don't know what it is, but it'd probably make a cool film. So I just had it in my head like, oh, maybe it'll make a cool film. Literally. And you know how the universe works. Yeah. Right whenever you hit one domino, here they all come. Like all the dominoes that was there before that you didn't know that you were hitting. Now you know you're hitting them, and now you understand where they fall, and you understand where it's going now. Yeah. Basically, man, like a week after that download, went over to my friend's house, my friend Nick, and he's always kind of been into, kind of conspiratorial types of things. And so I go to his house, and he's like, hey man, have you ever heard of this guy? His name is Dr. Stephen Greer. Yeah. And I was like, no, man, like, who is that? Like, what is that? You know, he's like, yeah, you know, it just came up in like my relateds and stuff and everything. Like, I hadn't really heard of him either. But you know, I started listening to him, and I was like, wow, this guy really knows what's going on and really has an articulate way of explaining, what has been taking place and the whole phenomenon. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know who the hell that is, but sure. He kind of put it on, and started checking it out and stuff. And I was like, wow. I was like, you know what? This dude is basically giving me the basis of the understanding of, number one, this download, but number two, the content for this film idea that I have. And I was like, whoa, this is like hitting like on a lot of different levels. It's just harmonizing. And I was like, whoa. So anyways, I was like, well, let me do some more research into Greer at first, just to get more content for this idea that I had, just to build it out.
Yeah.
But got into the rabbit hole here and stuff like this. And the more that you understand, the more your awareness rises. The more your awareness rises, the more something is really taking form and shape within your mind to actually be able to see it as palpable.
Yeah.
After you can see something as palpable, then you can look for other sources of information, research, whether that's through podcasts like this, whether that's through books, whether that's through news articles, documents like Greer had and stuff like that, that really kind of tie it all together. And once you have a lot of those data points, then you can really say, okay, this is something that's actually going on. This is something that's actually real. And this is something that is really important. Actually, this is literally the most important subject known to our species.
Yeah.
There is no other subject more important than this subject. No other, because this subject has the ability to change all other subjects, and change them in a really big way.
Yeah.
And it can change them in a positive light if you get the right information and you have the right motivation in back of you to actually see what's really kind of taking place. And so that's how I kind of got into it. 2018.
Yep.
I was like, all right, wow, like, it's pretty awesome. Me and Nick were like, hey, let's go to a Greer lecture.
Yeah.
So there was a Greer lecture in Arizona, and it was just in Phoenix. And we were like, oh, hell yeah, let's go to it. So we go there, meet Dr. Greer and everything. There's a whole day lecture happening, and we're like, whoa, this is incredible. So I get back from the lecture, and I'm just like, you get back from stuff like that, and you're just fired up. You're like, whoa, like this is happening. I am just so overwhelmed with the amount of information that I am understanding right now. And I was like, you know what? We need to start a CE5. Like, we need to start a CE5. And I was like, is there a CE5 here yet? And I kind of checked out, just researched. Yeah. For local chapters
in
the area and stuff like this. And I saw that there was one in Santa Fe, but they weren't very like active at the time. They're still not at this point, not very active right now. But as far as it goes, I was like, oh, well, there's not one for Albuquerque. I was like, you know what? I would like to start one. So at first it was just me and Nick. At first it was just the two of us for like months. It was just us and everything. And that's kind of the the origin of CE5 ABQ, CE5 Albuquerque group, and it's kind of grown. Now we have over 1,000 people in the Facebook group, and now it just put on to the Instagram just to kind of branch out a little bit more. Not really, social media is great. It's great to find people and connect people and everything. It's also really good to distract and to separate people too, and to divide. And so you don't want to use it that way. And so, that's kind of the origin of CE5 Albuquerque.
Well, that's awesome. And, I love that, just that story. Now, could you kind of, for everybody who doesn't know what CE5 is, could you kind of go through what CE5 is in general and the process maybe, and maybe even just go into how an outing goes?
Sure, yeah. So CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Why is it the fifth kind? Basically, there was a project back, I don't know the actual date, maybe in the 60s or 70s or whatnot, Project Blue Book. And Project Blue Book with Dr. J. Allen Hynek was the study of phenomenal events, basically, to try to basically document these events and to try to put them in some type of filing system or some order or whatever, so we can understand them. And so, within that Rolodex or whatnot, that filing system, that layer of information, they were able to actually categorize different encounters. And the first encounter, Close Encounters of the First Kind, is whenever you just have a sighting. You're in your car, you look up one day, it's at nighttime, you're walking your dog or something, you see something in the sky, it's not a plane, it's not, anything else, it's, just an orb or something happening, very paranormal like, and, it's classified as a CE1, just regular sighting. CE2 is whenever there is actual, there could be like debris, or there could be other just traces of phenomenal existence that's kind of has happened. Like a crop circle or whatnot right there. Or there's been different things, but crop circle is kind of one of the more common things. CE3, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, just like the actual movie, is whenever you actually see an EBE, Extra Terrestrial Biological Entity, and either A, face-to-face, or B, just seeing the actual body of it. This also could be a light body as well, a transcendental, translucent body as well. CE3. CE4 is whenever you actually have an abduction experience. You're brought on to either a craft, or there's abduction experiences that don't involve your body at all either. They just involve your actual consciousness onto certain craft, or just into a different place, whatnot. And you have experiences with these beings. CE4. CE5 is very unique because it's the first one that you control the most yourself with your own intention. So CE5 is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is human initiated contact with on or off planet civilizations, higher dimensional, multi-dimensional individuals. And basically what that kind of means to me is, and a lot of people in the subculture kind of get it twisted. They get a little bit twisted. They get a little bit too fantastical about it, and it just gets very put into a box of what we're doing is where we're going out, we're summoning extraterrestrials, we're summoning them, right? That's actually the furthest from the truth. Don't get me wrong, there are people out there that do claim that they do summon extraterrestrials, and that's kind of something that if they didn't develop it, they definitely, that was something that they came into this life to actually do. Not everyone came into this life to do the same thing. Actually, no one came into this life to do the exact same thing. Yeah. But there are, people who are mediums. There are people who are channelers. There are people who have these extra abilities to do. Yeah. CE5 is actually not that. CE5, Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, is basically the ability to get into a state of a higher level of consciousness and awareness, putting you in a more subtle state of awareness. Mm-hmm. Once you're in that more subtle state of awareness with these, what they call CE5 protocols, that get you into what they call cosmic consciousness. It's a guided meditation style that gets you into cosmic consciousness. Then you are basically at a plane of awareness to where they would be able to actually interact with you. That doesn't say that they always will. Yeah. And that doesn't say that they always will on a very obvious, gross or obvious way, or manifestation. Okay. Sometimes it's a lot more subtle. A lot of times it's going to be through things like telepathy. A lot of times it's going to be through things like different types of senses or feelings or whatnot, different downloads, and things of this nature. It's rare. It's actually one of the most rarest things actually is having an actual sighting, seeing an actual third dimensional, solid, physical mass in the sky that is acting in a very intelligent and peculiar way that is basically defying physics. Yeah. And those are always great to get those types of sightings, just for kind of a confirmation, like, just a big confirmation, here and there. Yeah. But that's not the actual work, and that's not what we actually do. What we are doing is we are developing the means to push the ascension of global collective consciousness for our civilization to evolve. That's actually what we are doing. Because again, what are we doing? We're actually getting into a higher state of awareness at a more subtle mind, to be able to open up the communication for contact. That's all we're actually doing. Now, if we do that on a level of the global collective consciousness, on a global level, and it's common knowledge now that you can get into these states of awareness, cosmic consciousness on a really big level, then that's whenever open contact can really actually happen. They're like, Joe, well, why don't they just land on the White House lawn? Yeah, the classic. Classic. Mm-hmm. I get that a lot. Why don't they just land on the White House lawn, man? There is a lot at stake for them. Yeah. Way over and beyond just them being hit by missiles from a very primitive and violent species like humans in our current state of awareness and consciousness, but also on a more quantum level and a more universal level and a cosmic level. There's something called cosmic law that they really that shouldn't be broken. It's kind of an enlightenment type of law, and basically what it is that as a species at a civilization at a higher level of consciousness cannot directly basically manipulate, for lesser words, the evolutionary track of a lower level consciousness civilization. It's basically like a do no harm policy. And it's almost like a monk. Why on earth would a monk take a precept to not kill or not steal or not do a lot of things that other people on, say their own levels of consciousness. Because remember, you're on your level, I'm on my level, so we're all level. We're all level. So there's no real higher or lower here. It's just whenever we talk in these terms, we have to talk dualistically just to get our points across. So I'm just gonna say at a lower level of consciousness, people kill bugs. They might kill a fly or whatever it is. Whenever a monk wouldn't do that, because a monk really understands the ebb and flow of karma, and the evolutionary steps that their actions are basically producing, and they're more aware of that. Take that to the millionth degree. And that's what they are dealing with as far as this whole cosmic law. And so us getting up to a level to where we are in a state of higher awareness allows them to be able to have contact with us without necessarily changing our evolutionary track, because we're changing our evolutionary track by ourselves, by reaching out through CE5. So that's kind of what CE5 actually is. As far as the contact modality, as far as the protocols, what we actually do,
or how you specifically maybe in the ABQ CE5, because I feel like since it's kind of as you said, a global movement, there's going to be different protocols between people, or how they set it up and everything. So maybe you just go into your specific brand.
Yeah, that's actually true, because there is different ways of achieving that level of awareness. I mean, there's just different levels of actually doing that. And so how we do it, CE5 Albuquerque, is basically we usually do the first Saturday of each month. That's usually going to be whenever Dr. Greer has his email list, go out to come together and do a global CE5. So
that means that there's going to be multiple different groups all at the same time doing the same thing collectively, so that I guess it amplifies the amount of for lack of a better word, vibing that's going on in there.
Yeah, exactly. The vibes are just quantified. There's quantified vibrations, and so I mean, if you want to think of the whole Earth as a light bulb, and you got a 6-watt light bulb most days, and then you now have a 60-watt light bulb, and so it's a lot brighter. And so the signal is basically being cast a lot more strong. And so doing it, whenever there's other collective people on the same page in a certain time frame around the entire world, it really feeds into the global collective consciousness grid, and it really fires it. It really fires it up more to actually do on one day whenever we're all actually doing it. So basically, we come out on the first Saturday, and we have just talk about the actual local one, because we do have expeditions where we go out further. We do have things out of town sometimes and everything. That's usually whenever it's warmer, and whenever we have somewhere like a ranch or somewhere that is a place that we can basically be legally. But whenever we're not doing that, that's specific of CE5s, we do a local one just up here in the foothills of the Sandia Mountains, and go out there. Usually we meet up around 8 or 9, usually a little bit earlier if it's colder, but usually those are going to be the actual times. But we'll get out there, and we will get into a circle, and we will basically raise vibration frequency. We can play the CE5 tones, the crop tones, and the other ones, I think, from Mount Shasta, whatnot. And kind of have those going to amplify the area. First, but after that we kind of get into circle, get into a form of meditation. We do a puja ceremony, which basically just blesses the area, and it also just amplifies the area where we are. It also is a level of protection too. It's a level of protection for us, opening up our consciousness and awareness all together, outside under the stars. There are things that are psychological attacks. Those types of things are can happen and are real. And so you really want to make sure that you have that force field of gratitude, that force field of light, and really that force field of positivity going into it that you create with a puja ceremony. After you got that going and everything, we usually do a little bit of chanting and stuff just to get onto the same page, and kind of quiet the mind from the outside distractions of the entire world, get everyone into one cohesive mindset. And then after that, we would usually get into the actual CE5 meditation, which is a protocol called CTS, coherent thought sequencing. Coherent thought sequencing has something to do with remote viewing. A lot of people might be familiar with remote viewing. SRI, Stanford Research Institution, did studies on what's something called remote viewing, where it was basically psychically and intuitively, actually, being able to see a place in all of space or time by your command of focusing on a certain target. This target could be anywhere in space or time. So backwards in time, forwards in time, or the present day, anywhere in space as well. So that means here on Earth too. But basically, we get into a type of form of that. This isn't going to be the standard SRI, CIA governmental form. It's going to be another one called ERV, which is extended remote viewing, which is more of the getting into a vibrational state of awareness, quieting the mind, and basically getting into a state that you can be very receptive to locking on to a certain target or whatnot. So anyways, basically get into that. We use that and getting into cosmic consciousness, thought coherent sequencing, or coherent thought sequencing, basically is a sequence of thought coherently that gets you from the seat that you are in, and it takes you out into the universe, into the cosmos. And once you're out there in the cosmos, you're actually able to feel, sense, know, have a perception of different maybe entity or craft that might be out in that field. Once you have identified a craft or whatnot, then what you would want to do is basically through this sequence, follow the sequence in reverse all the way back to your seat here on Earth, basically guiding this entity into your circle, where your actual circle is. And the more you do that kind of back and forth, the more that you do that, the more that the directions are pretty much put into the GPS, I guess. They got better devices than Garmin, I'm sure, but as far as it goes, it's kind of put into their to their direction, and they can basically be able to locate the group. Now, getting into that and everything, once again, this contact modality is more so about getting into the state of being than it is having the all out contact and everything. And as we say, seeing anything is a bonus. It's a bonus. Just to see anything is just a bonus that comes and goes, and it's really something not to focus on. Focus on the real work. Focus on the work of cultivating this mindset and being able to push it into the consciousness of our civilization. That's really what we're out there doing. And so that's basically what we do. We do a little bit of sky watching after that, and that's always fun. We talk to each other, and everything is always great stories going on. This is a great community as well. Very, very open community. If you have anything about, dreams that you might have had, or sightings, or contact that you might have experienced, or anything like that, this is the absolute most open and positive and receptive group to be in, and to kind of talk to about those types of fringe topics, and outside of the group. We usually wrap it up, and usually about a hour and a half to 2 hours wrap it up. And usually you leave there being so fired up, man. So fired up. It's always like, I always get in my car and I just like yell. I'm always like, like we freaking did, because it's the victory is doing it. That's the victory. Going there, getting people together, going through the motions and everything, knowing that you made an impact in the global collective, and leaving. That's being victorious right there. And so if we can be victorious every time, we've been victorious 100% of the time that we went out for CE5, and that's really awesome to say.
That is awesome. And just to kind of echo that, I would like to say that the first time that I've ever been was to the Albuquerque CE5, and I definitely got the same, exactly what you said, where it was the community and how receptive they are, even to, I'd never done it. I got some wacky beliefs of my own kind of thing, and I was able to just come in and straight up, like, the energy, also the energy leaving that event too was, it was just refreshing. If there aren't even aliens, like, it's still a great, like, what's the worst you're doing? It's just having a good time out in the wilderness, like connecting with nature and other people over, and really calming the mind. I think that was the biggest thing that brought away from me after you did the the tuning fork tones, I was able to kind of, I don't want to be like, ooh, it was a shift, but I'm like, oh, I was here. Now I'm at a level that I'm like, mentally engaged in now. And so I would like to echo that if anybody is out there thinking about that, that is one place to go. CE5, find yourself a group.
I mean, it's literally, I mean, what could be better than going out under the stars with like-minded people and meditating for a better future?
Yeah.
Like I don't know of a better, I don't know of a more impactful action to take in this manifested life that we have. I don't even know of one. There's not even, there's nothing more. You cannot do anything more than that. You are impacting not only everyone in the entire world, but because we're getting into cosmic consciousness, you're impacting every living being in all dimensions of the entire cosmos.
Yeah.
As a human, I mean, there's nothing more impactful than doing a CE5. That's it.
And so kind of, I would like to just kind of continue as like, for, getting into this, what has kind of been your most profound experience to you in CE5? What is it kind of like, an experience maybe, or what you've learned and gained from it itself?
So, other than my very profound sightings that I've had, I've had 3 very profound, third dimensional, right in front of your face, sightings through CE5. The first one was a solo CE5, kind of after the Greer lecture. The next one was out in Roswell, actually, for all you Roswell people. 1947. Roswell out there had an amazing sighting with a small group of people. Really awesome orb, low altitude orb phase in and out. Yeah. And then we had another sighting with about 9 people out in Carrizozo, New Mexico. And those were all very impactful in their own right. And the last 2 events, the Roswell event and the Carrizozo event, we actually I brought all of the groups together, all people from the groups together on a Zoom call, and we actually talked about what we all actually saw. So we got an account of the feelings that was happening there, and literally what we all had identified as a craft or a sighting. It's funny because it's like trying to identify like a dream that we all have had. Like maybe we've all had a flying dream. Yep. But my flying dream is like different from your flying dream. You know what I mean? Right. Maybe I was Superman, maybe you were Batman, maybe you know what I mean? Like maybe it was completely different. Yeah. And not even maybe, it wasn't completely different per person's perspective. Yeah. Kind of a tongue twister, but having a sighting and everything, it is kind of like that. It's like, dude, what did you see? Well, I saw this. What did you see? Well, I saw this. Well, what color was it? Well, it was kind of a blue. No, it was kind of an orangey. I kind of saw like an orangey red. Yeah. That doesn't really matter more than we all saw something at the exact same time. Yeah. In the exact spot, that's the data. What's the data? We all saw something at the same time in the same area of either the sky or the ground or whatever it was. Yeah. So that's the actual data. Anyways, other than that, just kind of, I don't know, impactful, just kind of what I've honestly, the most impactful thing is being able to hold space like this. Yeah. That's really the most impactful thing, is holding a space for people to really be able to open up and feel very comfortable in what they've experienced.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of take normal people out of the world and the distractions of everything going on and stuff like that, and actually have a space where they are safe, where they are comfortable, where they can really dive into the most the deepest part of themselves, with the support of a group, and with the confidence that we are all in this together, and we all really want the same thing. It's always so insane that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
That's always the craziest thing. Like, you mean that there's other people who want to go out at night and just basically pray to the universe that we, evolve and have, stories about our experiences that were paranormal or, very phenomenal, and that other people just laugh about. There are other people that want to do that. Are you serious? That actually exists. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool that that I have a really big hand in the existence of that space. So it's the space for sure.
That is awesome. Because I have to agree. Just I think, I don't know how far, it feels like you've come just in your life to this point where you're bringing all these people together. There's all this, I think it's just like, you're adding a net positive to the world with the movement, plus, whatever's coming back, like the collective good that comes from that is being brought back to you, and just how that's like, pushed your life forward. And I think that what you're doing is amazing.
Definitely.
So
thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I mean, I look forward to doing more of this too, especially with all the summer coming up and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
so
a lot of great events and everything coming up for sure. Can't wait till till it gets warmer.
Exactly. And so I was just gonna ask now, kind of have your beliefs changed? I mean, obviously, you before you learned about CE5, what was kind of your idea about aliens, the overarching idea, and how has that changed now? And have you gone through a lot of iterations of like believing in one thing, and now you're kind of like, ooh, maybe that wasn't what I was.
Sure. Yeah. Actually. So yeah, just like at first, honestly, guys, I didn't. It wasn't really any subject matter to me.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those prodigy, people that's, at 4 years old, I remembered that I was in the secret space program. That wasn't me at all, guys. Literally, I had this download at the end of 2017, and it's 2023 right now. It's only been a handful of years that I've really kind of delved into this, and at first, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really bat an eye at it. If someone was like, "Hey, do you believe in extraterrestrials?" I would have been like, "Yeah, probably." It's just as far as probability goes, you have to be. I mean, you have to be pretty low awareness and consciousness for way lesser words than what I could say about that. To not think that there is not at least some sort of intelligence outside of this planet. If a piece of grass grows on Kepler planet, or Kepler 22b, which is just like Earth. If a piece of grass grows on that planet, that by definition is an extraterrestrial. I mean, that is extraterrestrial.
Yes, life.
That is the existence of life, you know. And if you get more into it,
mm-hmm.
if you get more into what is actually sentient, you can get into planets. Planets are actually sentient beings as well. Mother Earth has a sentience. Mother Earth is awake. Yeah. Essentially. And so if you can see any other, if you could say that there's another planet out there, whoa, hey, there's Saturn. Uh-huh. That planet has a sentience. That planet is awake as well. And that's by definition not of this planet. So I mean, that could be extraterrestrial as well. I'm just kind of reaching now, I guess. Yeah. But as far as it goes, like, that's really how far you could go with this knowledge. Uh-huh. So yeah, I didn't really think of it too much. As I've gotten more into the phenomenon, there is definitely a lot of information out there. I was previewed to a really awesome book, and actually did a little film project with the writer of this book, author. His name is Jonathan Zapp. Okay. And this dude wrote a book named Rabbit Hole Navigation. Okay. And Rabbit Hole Navigation is all about exactly what it kind of sounds like. It's how to navigate rabbit holes. Yeah. And the main premise of the book is to be ambiguous. Mm-hmm. Be ambiguous all the time about the information that's being presented to you. Yeah. Never go all in one side or another. Yeah. Always have that level of equanimity. Mm-hmm. Being equanimous, that's a good word, equanimous. Nice, I like that. Yeah. About everything that you are experiencing. And if you get more into that, and you get more into higher level of Buddhist studies and Vedic, knowledge, you would get into the appearance to mind. Everything is an appearance to mind. Yeah. Everything is just appearing to your mind. Actually, your dream is no different than a waking experience, because all that you are experiencing is your five senses. Yeah. If you were not experiencing your five senses, then you would not have anything to appear. That nothing would basically appear within your actual mind as having substance and as existing at all. Yeah. There has been dreams where I have said that this is not a dream, that this is real life. And whenever I woke up, I was very mistaken. Yeah. But was I? Yeah. Are you mistaken? The answer to a lot of very high level yogis is that you are not. And so, keeping that in mind, they talk about emptiness. Mm-hmm. And getting into the subject of emptiness is just so vast. Wouldn't get into the technicalities of it, but right now. But basically, emptiness is not nothingness. Emptiness is simply the nature of things. Yeah. And the nature of things is as they are. And as they are is not as they seem. Yeah. And because it's not as it seems, it's something different. And because it's something different, we could only say that it's an appearance to us. It appears this way. I'm only giving you a little bit of foundation here because ultimately that's really what we are experiencing. Okay. Not everything is going to be completely black and white. It is going to be pretty much gray because of that principle. And so, having that as a foundation, you'll never get too far into, going one side or another. You would always kind of take things, and what I say, file it.
Yeah. File
it in your mind. Learn about secret space program. Learn about, the extraterrestrial, crashes, the crash retrievals, what might be going on in higher levels of government and corporate sectors. Learn about reptilians and what they might be doing and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But don't let it control what you do. And honestly, you really just want to file it. Reason being is because if you file it, if you file it in your mind, I'm saying, then you'll have a reference point. Mm-hmm. It's all about having reference points and having data points. Essentially, if you only have 2 data points, if you only have 2 points, you're only going to make a line.
Yeah.
Is a line a picture?
No, yeah, right. It's like
a line is not a picture.
No,
a line is a line.
Yeah.
And if you say, "Hey, look at my picture," to anyone who doesn't have any data points, and they'd say that's a line.
Yeah.
It's not a picture. What are you talking about? This isn't anything. Mm-hmm. You are deluded. You are whatever, this and that. I don't understand why you are into these types of studies, because there's absolutely nothing to it. That's a line. It's not a picture. However, if you have a lot of data points in the subject from a lot of different, researchers, stuff like this, everything, then what you can do is you can kind of play a connect the dots type of thing.
Yeah.
And if you have 50, 60, 70 dots, 80 dots, you can actually make a pretty nice picture. Mm-hmm. Now, it's only a picture. It's only an appearance to mind.
Yeah.
That's why I say file it. Because once one of these points comes to fruition, whenever I say fruition, I hate saying this, but fruition for a lot of people means CNN.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes up onto the news,
yeah,
as real or whatever, then you won't be so sidelined by this new finding, whatever it is. We just went through the China balloon, the spy balloon perusing around, and right after that, we had some UFO downings. Basically, some UFOs were sighted, unidentifiables.
Yeah.
And we shot them down with jets. Came through, and heat-seeking missiles and other types of weaponry.
Yeah.
Shot these craft down, objects. These objects down.
Yeah.
To someone who doesn't know anything about nothing, you could be on a wild goose chase about what's going on here.
Yeah.
Also, for someone who doesn't know anything about nothing, you can just totally disregard it as absolutely nothing, nonsense, and nonsensical.
Yeah.
Both ends of the spectrum are not going to be the most insightful and I guess smart way to see that incident.
Yeah.
It happened. Why did it happen? Do you have any data points to support why that could happen? Mm-hmm. And do you have any data points to support what else could be coming because that happened?
Yeah.
A lot of people do not, because they either disregard it or they go way off the deep end, mm-hmm. and they say that they're killer aliens that, and they, just scare themselves off or whatever it is. They don't keep that level-headed mindset.
Yeah.
And so whenever stuff like that comes up, whenever like the Nimitz UFO comes up, sightings, stuff like this, you are at a more of an advantage if you just file things as opposed to diving into and thinking that everything is true or everything is false or whatnot. So rabbit hole navigation, guys, rabbit hole navigation for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And so I kind of was going to, going off of that. So when ingesting UFO information and things, what is something that you find to be the most interesting? Is it just the idea of extraterrestrial beings? Is it like the technology that we could gain from them? Is it anything to do with maybe, my big thing with aliens and why I enjoy that is because I'm kind of like, it's kind of nice to feel like there might be a big brother out there that's kind of keeping an eye on it. And with some of the happenings, if you look into what they were doing over certain missile installations, where you're like, oh, maybe something was going to pop off that they knew about that they didn't want to actually go on. It's good to know. I don't want to be like it is for sure, but if something like that is going to happen, I would rather have somebody come in and step in and be like, hey, we're not going to do that.
Sure.
We're not going to eradicate the entire civilization just because this crazy warlike primate species wants to do whatever.
Right. That's very close to my reasoning as to kind of what is would you say the most impactful?
Yeah. Something that interests you the most.
That's going to be a big one. Spirituality is going to be really big in this whole thing. The more that you kind of file away these data points, the more that you understand that there is that higher consciousness that evolved of millennia of compassion and consciousness that is actually kind of standing guard for us. Now, obviously, they're not going to do everything.
Yeah.
They're not going to land on the White House lawn and say, "Oh, we are, we are your masters,
your galactic overlords or whatever."
Yeah, we are going to do that. That is a little bit too abrupt, and that is too disruptive. Whenever we again talk about cosmic law.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes to nudging things a bit, like shutting down nuclear installations, like putting people in place that have a certain amount of downloads or whatnot to be able to sway or kind of guide the global collective of our civilization in a certain upward, way, like a channeler or someone like that, or, whatnot. That's going to be, again, that's only going to be heard to the people who are ready. And if you are ready, then there's not a whole bunch of fudging whenever it comes to, are we actually disrupting the evolutionary consciousness of this civilization? So definitely the spirituality part is going to be big. There were, after you kind of get into this, you kind of like rate, your life before this.
Yeah.
You kind of like go back and you're like, who are the people who, brought this up, or who are the people who are into kind of like more of like the conspiracy type of stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Ever since like 9/11, be ambiguous about this, of course, but ever since 9/11, I've always kind of been like, well, something is not completely right.
It's not, the truth isn't always, the
truth is not so obvious after like that one, because obviously that was something that happened in my lifetime. We can go into Marilyn Monroe, we can go into other things that happened before our lifetimes, but as far as our lifetimes, 9/11 was the big kind of wake up call and
seeing behind the curtain, so to speak.
Type of kind of, and kind of lifting the curtains, getting into that. And so that was kind of the one thing that I kind of looked back on like, but other people had kind of came up to me and were like, there's this and that, or, whatever. But I just wasn't, I wasn't ready and receptive, because that wasn't my time to be ready and receptive. And, so, it's definitely going to be that part. Other than that, the ways and means of new energy, and technology is going to be really the one of the overarching benefits that we are going to more so be basically kind of cashing in on, as far as not cashing in on, but basically as far as like being able to utilize these types of higher dimensional, transdimensional technologies and medical types of devices to not only heal our civilization, but also be able to be better for Mother Earth, and get to that level 1 civilization, which is a 100% peaceful civilization throughout the entire world. And we are 100% running energy that is sustainable with zero pollution. That is a level 1 civilization right there.
Yeah.
Guess what we are, guys? As according to Michio Kaku, the physicist, scientist, astrologist,
the astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist. He is a lot. He is many titles. He's a great dude. We are a level 0 civilization right now, and to get to that level 1, it's going to take some work. The cool thing about it is that there actually, which is great, there was a threshold that in evolution consciousness that we crossed in a positive way about it, trajectory, that we actually had achieved the ability to continue our evolution, as opposed to falling back into more of the dark ages, more of a lower consciousness civilization, and completely blowing ourselves up into an oblivion. And another thing that has a lot to do with their level of interaction that they can have on our behalf, is because we have actually passed that threshold. And now, we've kind of graduated per se, or we might be out of kindergarten, or we might be in first grade now, and now we can use other now we can use sharper pencils or something. Now we can they'll give us they'll give us like books now, like we can actually go for the knowledge ourselves, as opposed to eating, napping, and playing. We can actually get onto more of an intellectual path with them handing things down to us, because we've ascended to that level. So that's kind of the cool thing about where we're going with all this, and the exciting part about that.
No, that's awesome. And so and it kind of started to wrap it up here a little bit, but just the kind of, would you say is, sorry, now I'm all like looking at my notes again, but I guess a big thing for people in the the UFO community and everything is stop that. Cool. Just like the idea of disclosure. What does disclosure look like to you, and do you think that we will ever get the classic, we're not alone kind of speech? Do you think that's ever coming, or is that going to just be what they've always done, kind of pushed it down and let it trickle.
No, you know what? I think that's gonna. I think that's gonna be a part of it. The classic, just on everyone's TV screen, like, this is kind of where we are. Everyone could be definitely part of it, and in stages kind of come out there. It's kind of happening now as far as that kind of goes with the whole UAP task force and stuff like this. They've kind of gotten up there and was like, hey guys, like, we are just telling you that the U.S. military government is telling you that there are things that we don't know what they are, and the last 70 years of people saying things, we're sorry. We are sorry because for all the ridicule, because there are actually things that we do not know the origin of, and there are things that defy laws of physics that we know. And so whether either A, they are being truthful about not knowing, or B, that it's plausible deniability that it's out there and they're just choosing not to know so they don't have to lie, or they know everything and it's just a whole secrecy thing, or whatever it is. They've made that public. So that is actually happening. That is happening now. What I've heard from more so channelers and stuff like this, which is more fringe, of course, but this is where we're going. I mean, you have to look in the fringe drawer to really be able to kind of piece together where we might be going, as opposed to looking at the old sock drawer for really old socks that have holes in it and things like that are just now coming out. Those are relics, man. And so through channelers and things of this nature, in about 150 years, we will be at a state of maybe a level 1 or 2 civilization at that point, and we will have open contact with off-planet civilizations. There will be like interstellar, trade going on, acknowledged trade. If you're into the whole secret space program thing, this will be an acknowledged trade. And there will be, travel that goes along as well. Within that level of connection, of open contact that we would kind of have. A little bit after that, it said that we would actually be able to have an off-planet civilization orbiting the actual planet. So a lot of extraterrestrial civilizations actually don't live on the actual planet. Why? Because you are harming. Whenever you live and dwell on a planet, you are literally harming it whenever you live and dwell on it. And so if you dwell off planet and you only use the biosphere and the energy from the planet and like the gravity of the planet and stuff like that, you're not actually harming the planet. You can also go down there just for higher consciousness visitations, with the mindset that this is sacred ground, and you wouldn't be building a lot of stuff out there or polluting, obviously. So it would just be in higher level of cherishment for that actual planet than actually living on it. And so then that might be in maybe a couple thousand years to get to that part, but about 150 years is what they're saying to
hit that next milestone,
that we would be at maybe a one or two level civilization, which is cool, which is honestly right around the corner if you kind of think about the millennia of time that these civilizations have gone through, from being a civilization like us, from being a level 0 like us at one point or another. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And just, I do feel it, the bell curve is going up. We're rapidly ascending into the future, if you will.
Right.
And so thank you so much, man. Definitely want to get you on later to talk about just all the people that you, I mean, you know, like Linda Moulton Howe, people that you've met in the community that you might be able to, you know, speak to stuff about that. But anyway, just overall, I think this was a great talk. Love to hear about CE5. If anybody out there is, you know, considering it, I would highly recommend looking into it. And, you know, check out the disclosure, the witness disclosure. That was how I got into it initially, and we can obviously talk about that at a later time. But
2001 Press Club, Dr. Stephen Greer, of course.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yeah, so, you know, and you obviously know all about that, so that's awesome. Just, to wrap it up, just let people know if you got any place that they can find you, what you're doing.
For sure. Yeah, just on, just easy ones. Facebook, Instagram, just Joe Lonesome.
Nice.
On any one of those, of course. Other than that, just being within the CE5 community, and, reaching out on those sources and platforms is kind of maybe one of like the best ways to reach me.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, just send me a message through telepathy, man. That's gonna be
Nice.
that's gonna be the next big wave of the science of consciousness and studies and everything. But just also CE5 ABQ. That's going to be our group as well, just on Facebook and Instagram there. Shoot me a message, and I'll try to respond back as soon as I could. But other than that, I'd appreciate, obviously, Pat here being a gracious soul, and in all of his divine grace of just wanting to highlight the just the efforts that goes into what it takes to push this next level of our civilization. And I just thank everyone else, everyone for their service. Thank you for your service and being, here a part of CE5, or just a part of just vibrating at a level that is of positivity, love, and humbleness. That's really going to be where we set the bar and have our foundation in this new level of consciousness. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. G.I. Joe, everyone. Thank you so much. Skeptical Eye for the Paranormal Guys. We really appreciate you guys watching. Well, how about that for an episode, huh? That was a great interview with G.I. Joe Lonesome. And hey, what's more fun than going outside, looking up at the stars, and thinking about aliens, am I right? In my opinion, it's certainly a great use of my time, so what can I say? Anyway, feel free to check out all those links in the show notes, and that'll take you to G.I. Joe's pages, including the ABQ CE5 group. So if you liked any of what you heard today on this episode, think about going out and finding your own local CE5. We'd love for you to join the movement. As always, whether you're a skeptical eye or a paranormal guy, we appreciate you tuning in, so we'll catch you next time.